Uh, Good afternoon. On this, it's funny. I'm looking at my front windows reflection in my on for my phone, and it looks like a beautiful sunny day. I don't know why they look that way. It's currently raining and looks really dark and dreary out there. But whatever it may be, I think Thursday is supposed to be a little bit nicer. So hopefully, when you're watching this, it's a beautiful day and welcome. Today's readings are, especially the gospel, is actually a really wonderful story. It's always been one of the ones that I have been especially drawn to. You have that great image of Jesus going and teaching the crowds from the disciples' boats and then telling them, I can quote, put out into deep water and lower your nets for a catch. And I just love, we have constantly throughout Scripture, we have this example of the disciples saying really, there's no judgment, saying things that you and I would say, saying things that are kind of dumb, that are certainly not, confident in who he was, but, saying like, we worked hard all night. There's a little bit of resistance, but he says, we worked hard all night and we've caught nothing. But I love, that next line. But at your command, I'll lower the nets. Basically, the way I read it, I think you're crazy and this is a big waste of my time. But if you tell me that I need to do it, I'm going to do it. And then they catch all the fish, and to me, like, isn't that, I think it's for us, but I will speak for myself that it certainly is me. There have been all of those times in my faith journey where I have been resistant to where I've been called by my faith. And I can say I was just unsure of it, but the reality is probably 10 times out of 10, my resistance had more to do with it feels inconvenient right now. I'd really prefer if you kind of called me over here where like there's this thing that I'd really prefer to do. And it doesn't always work out that way. But then, again, 10 times out of 10, when you finally go where you feel like God's calling you, you have this tremendous rewarding experience. I'm reminded during this that before the pandemic, we go to 4 different service agencies each month, and the students who go to really any of them, but especially my experience of driving students to the Trenton Area Soup Kitchen, usually there's somebody there who's like, you know what, I almost didn't come today. I really didn't want to go. I got a lot of work. I got this. I got that. Or sometimes, if they're really honest, I just didn't feel like it. But I'm so overwhelmingly grateful I came. A lot of times that's the way our faith, or at least for me, again, like where I experience my faith is there's an initial resistance because it seems challenging. It seems like whatever it may seem like, where I have this initial resistance, but when I do as I feel my faith is calling me to, I have this tremendous blessing, and the one other thing that we should close with, I don't always touch on whose feast day it is or the memorial of someone, but for Monsignor, I think he might be frustrated with me as a member of staff if I don't at least reference St. Gregory. Today is the memorial of St. Gregory, and I can, and how appropriate today, honestly. In the brief description I found of him online, they talk about this great transitional time during his time when he was alive, in a transitional stage. There were a lot of invasions and a lot of new situations that were happening throughout Europe. And he's described again and again in what I found online as this calm presence who made our faith more attractive to those, and there were a lot of conversions and things like that. The idea that during this transitional time, he was calm and he demonstrated our faith in a way that invited people in. And I think, that's certainly my experience now, and I think for most of us, it's a weird time. I dropped my boys at school today, and I know that we're not doing that for Montgomery High School, but for some other Catholic schools up in Montgomery, you're probably experiencing the same thing. That my kids go to Catholic school, and I brought them and I dropped them, and I am wildly uncomfortable with that. I don't feel like I'm ready for it. I don't feel like they're nervous. I don't know how prepared the school is. But in what felt like a lot of poor choices, this seemed to be the best one I had for them. And so I sent them, but I think there's a lot of people who are looking at transitioning back with school, or parents who are transitioning back into how do I navigate work or stuff around a house with you guys here now, or even people who are just, as we get more and more back into comfortably getting back out there, there's people whose hours at work are starting to pick up, or people who are retired who are just getting a little maybe confident in getting out to more than the grocery store. And for whatever your comfort is your comfort, but it's certainly, if that is you, it's certainly a transitional time. And what a great example today of St. Gregory, who modeled that idea that during those moments in his history, in his time, where people needed their faith most, they saw his calm influence, and it was attractive, and it brought them into the church. That's a gift. That's a gift for us today to consider. Our faith is a great blessing, and it's something to fall back on always. But especially now, for if there is anxiety, if there is fear, if there is worry, or if there's just gratitude, whatever there may be for you. But we have that great example with St. Gregory, that during this time of real uncertainty, just like there was in his time, to allow our faith to be something we wear in such a way that people want to know more. So with that, I'm grateful to be here, as always, as a member of the staff. I am grateful that tomorrow evening, on Tuesday, you'll be watching this on Thursday. But in the next coming week, we have more and more incoming freshmen who are being confirmed. I hope you've held them in your prayers, and I hope you hold those who are soon to be confirmed in your prayers. And I am eternally grateful. So thank you, and God bless.